Today we are making this amazing banoffee cake. This is a modern take on a classic banoffee pie. We're going to make our own salted caramel, caramel butter frosting and 2 flavors of sponge. The ingredients are in the description, and if you want a printed version of the recipe, there is also a link. So let's get started. To make our salted caramel, you're going to need 1 cup of sugar, 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of table salt, and we also have 1/3 cup of water. So here I have a heavy pan, and I'm going to add the cup of sugar, and I'm going to add the water, and make sure it's all mixed well together. There you go. And then I'm going to set it on the medium-low heat. And we're going to let this cook until it turns into a dark brown amber color. It's very important that when we set this on the heat that we don't disturb the mixture anymore. Because if you disturb this with a spoon or with a spatula, it's going to crystallize and you'll get crystal clumps in your caramel. So while this is cooking, I've also prepared 3/4 cup of heavy cream, which we're going to add when the caramel is ready. So you can see this is already turning into an amber brown, and we need a little bit more, and then we have the perfect color. Now that we got the nice dark amber color, we're going to set this on our kitchen cloth because we don't want it to move while we stir in the butter and the heavy cream. So let's add our butter first, and that's going to bubble up quite a bit. And just stir this. Careful, this is really super hot. And now that our butter has dissolved, we are going to carefully and gradually pour in a constant stream our heavy cream. So there you go, and that's going to bubble even more because we're adding in liquid and water. But keep stirring. So whisk until everything is well combined. Okay, here we go, beautiful caramel color. And now we're going to add in our vanilla and our salt. Smells amazing. So this is ready. So this is quite liquidy right now, but as it cools down to room temperature, it will get a nice caramel sauce thickness. We are now going to set this aside in a jar, and we're going to let it cool. And in the meantime, we're going to prepare the next part of our recipe. While our caramel is cooling down, we are going to prepare our sponge layers. So I have 2 8-inch baking forms here, and I'm going to lightly spray them with a little bit of coconut oil. Of course, you can use butter or you can use olive oil. I like to use a spray, it's easier. I'm adding in a little bit of flour, which I'm just going to distribute everywhere in the pan. So. And then I'm going to oil the next one. And I'm just going to pop the rest of the flour in here. Whew, it's all over the place. Just distribute that. And pop the rest back into our cup. So these are ready. And now we're going to combine our wet ingredients with the sugar. So for that, we're going to have our 2 cups, or about 400 ml of vegetable oil. Pour this in here. So crack your eggs in here. If you don't have such a large mixer, just do it in 2 portions and then just split it up there. So let's add in the sugar. And now let's cream it all together. So in the meantime, we can add our baking powder and our salt into our flour. And just give it a bit of a stir. There we go. We're gonna let this blend for a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna add in our flour mix. You can of course do this also with a hand mixer. You could even do it by hand, I guess. It might be more difficult, but you don't have to use a stand mixer or a pedal attachment. It just does help when you have it. Okay. Also, you don't want to overmix the batter, because if you overmix any flour-based batter, you activate gluten, and gluten makes your batter tougher and not as nice and spongy. So don't overmix, just give it a nice good blend. And we're gonna mix this a little bit more, and then we're gonna separate it into two parts so we can add the separate flavors to each layer. We are going to need about 450 to 500 grams of mashed bananas. So let's weigh them up first. Here we go. Yeah, that's 480 grams, that's okay. It's about 450 to 480, but that will do the trick. Now let's mash them up a little bit with a fork, and then we're going to add them into our batter. They don't have to be perfectly mashed. It's also nice if you have like a few pieces here and there in the dough. It's like a little flavor explosion every time you bite into it. So don't go crazy, you really don't have to cream them. Just roughly mash them. Here we go, and we pour those in here. And let's blend these in a little bit more using our pedal attachment. Here we go. And again, don't overdo it, just give it a nice stir. We just want it to be well combined, and we want our dough to have a nice flavor and really taste like banana. Okay, that's enough. We don't need more than that. Let's clean up our feeder. Set it aside. Get all this out of the way. And here we have our floured spring form. Well, it's not really a spring form, it's just a normal aluminum form. And we are going to pour the batter right in here. There we go. There we go. That's about half full. And that's fine because obviously it's going to rise. But I'm going to show you how you can get your cake to rise evenly without having that big dome or that big bulge right in the middle. So I'm going to use some PME belts that are soaked in water, and we're going to strip them around the form. I will show you how that goes in a minute. But let's prepare our caramel sponge first. So let's set the banana one aside. Let's get the rest of the dough, and let's pop that back into the form, into the mixer. I always make such a mess when I bake, but it's part of the fun, isn't it? Well, cleaning up isn't, but. Okay, so we got half of our batter in here. Here is our caramel that we made before. Lovely, nice color. This is half of it. I still have the other half, which we're going to use for decoration and for our layers in between. So just pour a little bit of this in here. So I'm going to add about half of this now. Here we go. And I'm going to stir this in with our beater attachment. Or here we go. And then we'll lightly combine this. I'll add a little bit more. I'm not going to add the whole amount. maybe around 350 grams is what I've added here. Okay, let this combine, and we're going to pour this into our other form. Okay, so, and that's ready. So I'm quickly going to clean myself up, and then I'm going to show you how the PML belts work and how you put them onto your form. And then we're going to pop this in the oven. I've switched the oven on already. The oven is at 180 degrees. It's been preheated. I have it on convection, so I've got air circulating in the oven. And we'll pop the belts around this, and then we're going to put it in there and leave it in there for about 25 to 30 minutes. And then we're going to do a little toothpick test and make sure the dough is well done. I'll see you back in a second. I'm back. I've cleaned up the kitchen, and by cleaned up I mean I pushed everything out of the frame, and I'll deal with it later. But here are our caramel and our banana sponges, and you can see I already wrapped a PME belt around one of them, and I have another one here which is going to go onto the caramel sponge. And what this is a heat-proof cloth that has been soaked in water, and we are going to wrap this around our form like so. Pop the belt in here so it holds together, tighten it. And what this is going to do, it's going to keep the outside of your dough cool so that it bakes evenly together with the top. That helps in not getting the dome that you usually get on top of your sponge. You get a more even bake, and you won't get the burnt edges and the caramelized outside of your sponge. So I'm going to pop these into the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. And in the meantime, we are going to prepare our frosting. Let's cream the butter, and we can cream that together with our caramel. There we go. Now that our caramel and butter is well combined and creamed, we're going to start gradually adding in our powdered sugar. Okay, and to smoothen it up, I'm just going to add a couple of teaspoons of milk, not too much, it's already pretty creamy. I just want it to be nice and smooth. There you go. That will do it. Give it a last spin. Okay, and that's ready. I'm gonna pop this into the fridge, and next we're gonna cut the layers of our sponges, and then we're gonna start putting them together and decorating them. See you in a minute. So our sponges are ready, our buttercream is ready. We have a little bit more for decoration and filling. We have some caramel here, and we have some digestive biscuits. And what we have to do next is we have to slice our sponges. So I'm using this tool here, where you can simply measure the size that you want to cut your sponge in, set it, and then just slowly go through. And just pull that a bit forward, separating your layers. There you go. That's banana done, and let's cut the caramel as well. Okay, so now we have 4 even layers, and we're gonna start with our turntable. Okay, we're just gonna apply a little bit of cream just to stick our initial layer down. And we're gonna start with a caramel layer. Carefully place this in the middle of your cake, like so. There we go. And now we're gonna add a layer of cream. nice and even. Okay. And now we're going to alternate layers, so the next one is going to be banana. There we go. Place that right in the middle. So, and in this layer, we're going to make a little caramel surprise. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape out just a little piece here in the middle, just like that. A bit more. There we go. And we're going to fill this with caramel. There we go. Flatten it a bit. And we're going to add the next layer. Okay, and we're going to pop this in the fridge and let it settle for about 15 to 20 minutes. So the cake has been in the fridge and it's settled, and the breadcrumbs are all locked in our buttercream, and we're gonna now apply the final layer, and then we're gonna add some caramel and some digestive biscuits. Our banoffee cake is ready, and we are going to put it to the test now. But before we do, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like or leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this one, check out the rest of our channel or subscribe. We have a new video out every Wednesday. Let's try. Mmm.